About.
Podcast. Something about everything podcast.
Hello, everybody. This is Cooper Elliott. I'm here with Blake Keith and Caleb Inns tonight, and we are doing our podcast, the Something About Everything podcast, and we hope you enjoy tonight's one. Tonight, it's going to be an election special. Last night was the debate. I think everybody can see for themselves how that went if you want. I'm not going to give any opinions on that tonight. What we're going to talk about tonight is election. Is the actual election, people voting in an election. Before I do that, I'm going to have Caleb and Blake give you all a little shout out real quick. Caleb?
No.
Shout out about what?
You don't want to shout out? All right.
No. Well, Marco's
Well,
not
about
here.
what? What are you talking about?
For everyone, our usual listeners,
Yeah,
Marco's not even here. So
Marco's not here.
thanks
tonight.
for that intro, Cooper.
I'm sorry,
Not
it's
even
terrible.
including
Yeah, thanks, Coop.
Do you want to start it again? You can
No,
edit
that was
all this
good.
out. All right, fine.
No, that's good.
Anyway.
No, that's good. But what shout out though? Thanks everyone for listening.
I was just trying to
GG,
get you
guys.
guys to get some words in. I didn't want it to sound like I'm just sitting here all by myself,
The Lonely
Anyway,
No, you're
Podcast
good.
by
So,
Cooper.
my main thesis
Yeah,
for
it's the
tonight
Coo-
is that there
it's
are
the Cooper
two. Oh,
podcast.
sorry. It's the Cooper podcast.
No,
Something
the
The
about
Cooper
Lonely
podcast.
Podcast by Cooper.
The Sack podcast.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
the Sack House podcast.
My thesis tonight is that there are too many voters in America. And the reason I say this is because if you guys have Twitter or Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, any social media site, you have seen an ad in the top or something like that, notification that says you need to register to vote online. Everybody seems to believe that voting is your civic duty. I believe it is your civic duty, but I don't believe it's your civic duty if you don't know what you're doing. And I'm going to get into that later. I think there's too much emphasis today placed on making sure you vote. Just making sure you show up to the ballot box or send in your mail-in ballot and vote for whoever you vote for. I don't care if it's left or right. I hate the idea that you should vote just because you are allowed to. I think that's an idiotic idea because if you vote and you have not educated yourself on the circumstances or the people you're voting for or the issues that they're running on, you are canceling out somebody who has educated themselves on these, and you're canceling out their vote basically. And so if I'm somebody on the right and I think I'm just going to vote right because I'm a Republican because that's all I know, and somebody on the left has done their research and they know why they're voting for this person, they've educated themselves, they know what the issues are about, what they're doing, and they know why they're voting for this person, then I'm canceling them out, and that's not how an American republic democracy is supposed to work. I used to be of the thought that you have to get everybody registered to vote, and it was a shame that this country only has 120 million people vote every year. But I've grown to realize that number is too high because there are so many people who just vote along party lines and along 3-minute clips they see from debates. And I don't think that's what the founding fathers envisioned or wanted when they founded this country. And I don't think it's something any civilization should stand for or even want more of. So, Caleb and Blake, do you guys have any thoughts on the idea?
Well, I think now people just vote for whoever they like more without even looking into what they believe in or what their policies are. Like with the two people we have now, the two candidates, it's more about they're voting for the other person because they just don't like the other person. And I feel like a lot of that is backed by social media, just trashing on people. Because, like, I got on Twitter yesterday, and it was all negative about Trump, all positive about Biden. And it shows only love for one side. And I think that that's a huge problem now. because it's like favoritism. And I think that screws over a lot of people's opinions because they don't really want to look into it. And they just listen to what other people are saying without actually taking the time to learn for themselves.
That's another big problem I have with these with people who aren't educated voting is that a lot of them America is not as smart as we used to be. We used to read books and uh we used to do adventures and think, and we went to higher education for purposes. I know we're all in college, but a lot of people our age go to college just to have fun and accumulate hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt and then have a reason to complain whenever they went and got their degree and now they don't have a job because they don't actually want to work, they just wanted to go to college.
Do you
And
think that? My bad. Go on.
no, you're
I
good.
just had a
No,
thought pop up.
what do you want to say?
No, I was just gonna ask because you brought up college. Do you think it's okay if professors bring up their political views and make students do assignments based on what they think?
No, I mean
No.
that's 100% against the First Amendment. If you're at a private school, such as like I don't know, like Catholic private schools. I know there's a lot of religious private schools. If you're doing that and they don't get any state funds, that's fine. Do whatever you want. But if you're getting a publicly funded school, like most Kansas State or Kansas University or all those big ones, then those get federal funds, so they should not be able to violate the Constitution. And also, I think as a moral rule, you shouldn't be trying to force your opinions on anybody else. Like if I talk to you, Blake, and I say, "Hey, Blake, this is what I believe. This is why I think you should believe that." That's fine. That's just I'm expressing my expression. I'm trying to convert you to my way of thinking, and that's fine. What every human is trying to do. But when you're a professor, you have people who look up to you, who think you know all of the facts. And if you're just spouting uh, your political nonsense or even religious nonsense, then that then you're in a position of authority. And it's a different thing, especially with even college kids. Our minds are still growing. We're still not. I don't know. I feel like Americans nowadays, you have to be 25 to be able to think for yourself, and even then, a lot of times we don't. That's
Well, it's
another
not.
big part of. Sorry, what were you saying, Caleb?
I was gonna say it's not even that all the time. Like if they're, like you said, like making assignments based off of that, and then they give you an F for saying something that they don't agree with, it's just bullshit. I don't think.
Yeah, it just made
allowed
me
at
think
all.
because one of our roommates came in one night and was all pissed off because one of his teachers was pushing a left wing question. I'm not going to say what it was because I don't want to stir up any problems, but it just made me think about how some professors will use that to their advantage to try and maybe sway students. And maybe even like sometimes they don't even know that they're really pushing it on anybody, but
And also, like I think that Americans don't argue, don't debate with themselves anymore. Like a lot of people are in their right wing echo chamber, their left wing echo chamber, and then you have the people who pretend they're outside. Oh, I'm an anarchist, dude. I don't care about anything. But nobody like actually shares ideas anymore. It's just a bunch of bickering, and I think the debate kind of showed that. Like no matter what side you're on, you didn't learn a lot from it. I didn't learn anything about Biden's platform. I didn't learn a lot about Trump's platform. All I heard was a bunch of bickering. And back in the day, at least they used to have good insults. Like Ronald Reagan would say, "Don't worry, I won't make age an issue of this. I won't use my opponent's immaturity against him." Other guy was laughing because Ronald Reagan was like the oldest president to ever run at that time. He was like 80
mm-hmm.
and he was still running for president, and he was making a joke about how his opponent's age was the real issue, not his age.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed, and it was a smart joke. It wasn't "you're stupid," "oh, shut
You're a
up,"
clown.
Yeah, I was gonna
stuff
say
like
it
that.
was basically
Yeah.
just them telling each other to shut up.
And
Wrong.
I think that starts
You're wrong.
first with the American population. I think we allow this to happen. And the reason it happens is because we try to get so many people out to vote.
Well,
because
how do you think
the
we
people
wound?
who are voting these, because when these people like Trump and Biden, they're not appealing to somebody who educates themselves on the issues. Otherwise, that debate would have only been about, here's my plan, here's how I would lay it out, here's why I'm the best reason to be president. It wouldn't be them bickering. It wouldn't be a show like it was. That the show is, it's bread and circuses like in the ancient Roman times, where they would subdue the stupid population by just saying, "Oh, here you go. Here's some bread and circuses. Don't worry about what we're really doing over here."
So then, how do you? I mean, I guess that kind of answers my question. But how do you think that we got to this point with these candidates instead of someone, or instead of people who are actually qualified to be a decent president? But now we
Um,
just have a bunch of fools, and everyone's voting for someone because they don't like the other party.
I think it's because we American, like, it goes back to reading, kind of like I don't read as much as I should, but when you read, even especially if you're reading somebody you don't agree with. Like if you're reading Harry Potter, that's fine. It's still a book, but it's like a kid book for grade schoolers. That's not You're not challenging yourself intellectually. Americans don't challenge themselves intellectually anymore. We sit at home and binge Netflix all day or play video games, and I'm guilty of it too. I try to get out of I try to get out of it. I try to listen to left wingers because I am a Republican. I'll tell you that, tell our listeners that right now. I'm not ashamed of it. Um, but I I try to listen to what Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has to say. And I don't like writing off people as, oh, that's going to be stupid. It's left wing. There's no reason to even listen to it, um, because that is how we got here. Because we started just saying everybody on the opposite side is wrong, and I don't even care what they have to say because it's my idea. It's right. Everybody's become a narcissist. When you look in the mirror and all you see is greatness, you don't listen to any criticism.
Yeah, I was gonna say nowadays it's just if someone has a different opinion than you, it's automatic hate. Like they're like, "Oh, you don't agree with me? I don't care what you're saying. You're probably
Yeah.
stupid or racist." And they just
Mhm.
make assumptions that if you're a right wing, you're racist and you support white supremacists or something like that. And then if you're left wing, you're automatically a baby killer or something like that. It's just everyone has their well, it's not even opinions anymore. If you even bring that up, they'll just attack you for no reason without even knowing who you are and what your actual beliefs are.
See, I think it's kind of like it's a little bit more fair. That's prejudicial, which I think that's the whole reason we have political parties. Like if I say I'm a Democrat, you know generally what kind of principles I have, what kind of stuff I believe in, such as abortion or like the border, for example. Where if I say I'm Republican, you have a general example, but a lot of people, like when they said that back in the day, it was, "Oh, you're a Republican. What do you believe in?" They kind of had an idea of what you believed in, but they still asked. You gotta express your views. Americans don't express their views anymore. They just say, I like Trump because he's a fighter. That's what I hear from a lot of Trump people. And then Biden is basically, I don't like Trump because he's supposedly a racist or something like that. People don't dig into the issues. They don't look at what they've done. They just look at the R or the D next to their name.
Well, yesterday, what I noticed after we got done watching the debate was every single reporter that I watched. I don't think we watched the whole thing. We talked like mostly through all of it, but the first few people just bashed on Trump. And I think that that's kind of biased or like biased
It's
for their own
100% biased,
opinions.
but
And I don't think that those people should be the ones reporting. If they have their own political beliefs and they know what side they're on, I'm sure that they're the ones that they choose to report. Like, does that make sense? So they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're left wing. We're gonna have you be on here instead of this person because you're right wing." And
well,
so,
I
like, the
don't I
first
don't
20 minutes after the debate, it was just everyone shitting on the right wing, and the only difference that I saw in the debate was that Trump interrupted Biden more, but they both insulted each other the entire time, and Biden never got any hate for any of that. But I think that Trump just got attacked more because of his interruptions.
And like for the that's I mean the media today is mostly left wing, which I mean if you don't know that by now, you really haven't been paying attention to the media at all. Which honestly, kudos to you because you don't really care what the media thinks. You're thinking for yourself. But that's also I think that's another part of I think a lot of problems in our society, especially with politics, has to do with Americans not educating themselves. A lot of that comes from the public school system going downhill and not teaching what it needs to be teaching. Um, I think a lot of criticism for this public school system can be misplaced, but uh, like some people they're always saying, "Oh, I'm so glad I didn't learn how to do taxes, but I learned the linear algebra." Like that's what they're teaching you. You wouldn't have learned taxes anyway. You're just looking for a reason to complain about school. But a lot of like back in the day, there was no um, common core curriculum. You had each state setting up its own system, or you had people homeschooling. And honestly, from what I've seen on the articles about schooling in the pandemic, it's looking like a lot more people are going to homeschooling since they realize I can do this. You know, we used to think that teachers are the only ones who can teach my child, but parents are much better teachers most of the time because they actually have a connection with their own child. And a lot of it's my main point is that a lot of like everybody in America kind of you can tell there's a little bit more ignorance. Like a lot of people can't find America on a map. And you see all these YouTube videos of people being idiots, and that would have never happened back in the day. You know, I'm not saying everything was bright and peachy back in the 60s and 70s, but they did stuff back then. 60s and 70s is when we went to the moon because the country still cared. And now we only care when the new season of Daredevil comes out on Netflix. I don't know. I think that show was canceled or something. But
I don't know.
it,
Never seen it.
We just
we're
started.
just
Well, we just started watching.
I was gonna say, like with the debate and stuff, Blake and I started watching American Horror Story Cult
how does that have to do with the
that
debate?
because
it's
that whole
100%
season
political.
is based off of like the Trump Clinton.
It's a bunch of people that are like, all of my traumas reemerged after the election, and we're like, what?
So why did you
don't
start
get me wrong.
watching it?
Why did we start watching it?
Because I
I
told
don't
you to
know.
start
We just
watching
watched it.
American
We
Horror
just watched
Story.
it. We just
Great.
watched it one day, and then now all of a sudden we're on our last episode, and we started it like 2 days ago.
So wait, you started watching
And-
it
and
even though it
earlier
was
you were-
extremely.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode we were like, God damn, this is annoying, and then here we are, 10 episodes in.
Because
Here
I've
we-
seen
yeah,
I've
here we
seen
are, we're on
American
the
Horror
se-
Story, so I knew it was good, and I told Blake.
Yeah,
to
we're
keep
gonna watch
watching.
this. We're gonna watch the season finale tomorrow, and then just get pissed off.
I won't be pissed.
No,
I think it's
it's
great.
all right. And then we'll watch the rest of it. But on a separate note, Cooper has entered into the AR world.
I have,
So-
yeah.
Congrats to you.
I'm just gonna
Almost.
finish
if you
off.
want to, if you
Okay.
want to explain to everybody like how you did it, I guess.
So, recently I've been, I've always thought I needed an AR. I've always known, you know, it's a great weapon for home defense, and I was kind of torn between if I want a gun, if I wanted a pistol, or if I wanted an AR. And recently I kind of made up my mind. Finally, I went and bought a Palmetto State AR-15 upper kit, which comes with every single part you need for a rifle except for
the
sometimes
lower.
the scope. I got mine with some iron sights, which was lucky. But every single part you need except for apart from the actual
Lower
stripped
receiver.
lower receiver. Yeah.
And
Because
did it come with a lower parts kit, like the trigger and everything?
yeah, it has a trigger, it has a stock buffer tube, everything you need, handle. everything you need for it. But the only reason they can't sell it as one big old shipment is because the ATF has designated that all serialized items, such as a lower receiver, which is the serialized part of an AR-15, has to go to an FFL. And so what they'll do, how I got mine, I ordered mine from Palmetto State Armory online. Uh, it was shipped straight to my house. Took about 2 weeks, a week and a half or so. Um, and uh, then I went to a gun store locally to try and find some lowers, and I was lucky enough that they hadn't been bought out. This guy had 30 of them. He had bought up the stock because he knew they were going to go quick, especially in these different times. And because I had not found a lower anywhere on the internet. I'd been looking all over and I could not find a single one that was below like $120, which a lower receiver, for those who don't know, is like, it doesn't have to be the most expensive part on your AR-15. The more expensive ones, the only difference they're really going to do is they might have a nicer coating, but most or a better design, but most coatings will last you a long time, like longer than you'd need it for, really, as long as you're not throwing it in a vat of water every day. And so lower receivers can be extremely inexpensive, down to like $50 for a decent one, and you don't really need a splurge. I got mine for $85, but I had some issues because I have recently moved from my permanent address. And so when I filled out the form, which you have to do, you can't just walk in and buy a lower receiver like all the Democrats say. I had to fill out a background check form, and I was filling everything out. The guy was checking it, and he was like, he asked for my ID, and I gave him my ID, which my ID is expired because I haven't been able to get it changed since I turned 21 because of Corona, and since I moved as well. So I walked in, and he was like, we can't give you this unless your ID is changed or if you have something that shows proof of address. So, and none of the bills come to my house in my name, since I rent here. So I have to wait till the courthouse opens up next week to change my license, and then
Can you
go in
where
and
did
buy.
you
I've already bought it. I just have to go in and pick it up.
where's it at, Taylor? Or which place did you have it shipped
No,
to?
I checked TaylorMade Firearms. TaylorMade Firearms in Manhattan, Kansas. Wonderful shop. Wonderful shop. I don't blame them at all for being very low on lowers. The only lower they had was $260.
Jesus.
And I kind of
Nah, I
figured
bet
they
that
didn't really
thing
need to
was
pay that much for a
Nice.
lower. Oh,
no.
it looked nice. It was probably a nice
I'm
coating.
sure it was
but
probably the best
was
material you can get.
yeah, probably.
So
But
no,
I
where
wasn't
did
gonna pay that
you
much.
get
I'm
it?
a college kid. And
No. Where did
where
you
did I
get
get
it?
it?
Where do you have to pick up your lower? You have to go through an FFL, don't you?
Yeah, I went to
Like
I
no,
went to a gun
well,
store to buy my
I'm
lower.
asking where's it at? Like which one?
It's at a place called Patriot Guns in Manhattan,
I
Kansas.
told you it wasn't close.
Great store as
No,
well.
hold on. Wait,
Better known.
where's that at? It's not on the. It's not at the same place, is it?
No.
What's the road that? Okay, where you know the pawn shop that we always go
Yeah.
to?
Yeah. There's
We
one. It's
passed
right on that
that.
road. Patriot Guns.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that building was empty.
No.
It was. They just moved in recently, from what I was told. It used to be a Radio Shack.
No. Well, when we passed by, it looked empty when we drove by it last time.
They told me they just recently moved in. I think in the last month or two, because I hadn't heard of it either.
Okay.
You had? Oh.
What'd you say, Kev? You talking shit?
Wait, you said that they were closed last time you were up here.
Blake
did. You?
It looked like it was empty.
Anyway, back to my original point. My AR-15 is almost complete. You have to have a lower before you can build anything out of the kit, because everything goes on the lower. Basically,
that's the backbone of the entire weapon. If you don't have, if you're missing like the key components, it's obviously not going to work. But it's literally like the most important part of the gun because it holds everything together.
Mm-hmm.
holds the ammo, it holds the trigger. so
It's
you
what
can
holds the
fire it.
upper and the barrel, everything. It just
Yeah.
literally the backbone to everything. But I decided, so I was gonna get a 10.5-inch AR
Pistol.
pistol, yes. But with all the stuff going on, the gun dealer that I'm trying to get it from isn't able to get it, so I'm just gonna get a 16-inch 223, and then in time I'm gonna get a 15-inch key mod rail. No, not key mod. I'm gonna get an M-lock. If you're gonna buy an AR, get an M-lock. They have more accessories, and it's just
Or Picatinny.
it's just
if you have the option,
Picatinny
has
is
good stuff, too.
4-sided quad rail is also really good too if you could find one. It's kind of they
Well,
kind of
key
like
Key
they
mod
kinda
rails
like-
still have a Picatinny on the top usually.
well, yeah,
And-
every rail should have a Picatinny on the
Yeah.
top. It's just standard. But
Also,
if you can get a 4-sided Picatinny rail, they're actually pretty sweet. They're going to be heavy, but they're pretty cool.
Also, if you're in the market for an AR as a civilian, there's usually more civilian parts made for M-Lock because it's kind of a big standard around the industry. It's made by Magpul. They kind of standardized it. So you'll get a lot of accessories. It's kind of like having a Glock pistol. You're going to have one, if there's an accessory that goes on an AR-15, you're going to be able to find one that goes on M-Lock. The other ones are a little bit more iffy.
If you're looking for good grips for your arrow, like pistol grips, Magpul makes some really good ones with the MOEs. That's what I use on mine. That's what I use on mine, and I love it. I even bought one for my dad to put on his, and they're great.
My upper kit that I bought came with the pistol grip, the stock, and everything.
The stocks are really good too. The carbine stocks are nice.
Mine came with a Magpul butt stock and a Magpul grip, and I'm thinking about maybe getting a Magpul front grip. But I also have some Magpul mags coming in. I'm basically sponsored by Magpul.
You also have the Magpul front and rear sight, don't you?
Yeah, I got the M-Bus sights. They're nice.
The M-Bus sights are nice. I like those. They're pretty sweet.
They're flip-ups.
Beefy too.
Yeah, they're automatic, so you just click them, and they just pop up on their own. They're pretty sweet. What was I going to ask? How much is the Magpul rail? Is it? Can you get it like all the way extended to the front of the barrel, or how big?
Mine?
Is it?
Like the one?
Yeah, do you have it?
Mine was a 16. Here, just a second.
Well, yeah, let me see it. I want to see the rail on it.
While Cooper's doing that.
Sorry you guys can't see this, but Cooper's getting his AR right now, or his upper, and he's going to show it to us real quick. And that's a Magpul rail, or is that just whatever that came with? Did you hear what I asked? Or
no, I didn't.
Do I need to repeat it? I said, is that the Magpul rail, or is that just standard?
No, this is just standard. A Magpul rail would be, usually they're the shorter ones. They're the ones that kind of cut back to like here, and it's just basically for a hand. Has a little bit of M-Lock right here.
Does yours only have Picatinny on the front and the rear?
It has Picatinny right here, and then it has Picatinny starting right here. So it has enough for a sight. And a front sight. But mine is a 16-inch barrel, which I think is the shortest allowed for a rifle.
It's the standard.
It's the standard. Yeah. This thing this will reach out far enough for 300 yards, decently accurate. But you're not going to be hitting 1,000-yard shots with it for sure. But it's short enough to handle it.
I'm upset because
it has a 15-inch rail, which is nice because it has a really nice.
Your rail upsets me because it's better than mine.
Yeah, but you paid half the price.
Yeah, that's true. Ours, I think Caleb and I's are 14-inch rails, 14 and a half. But I want to get also, if you want good grips,
mine's a 15-inch rail.
And if you want muzzle brakes, flash devices,
Magpul and Strike Industries.
Strike Industries has some good shit.
Magpul does make some good stuff. I'm thinking about maybe buying a Magpul one.
If you wanted to get a cookie cutter,
I don't need a cookie cutter. I'm okay with an A2.
You should get that with that.
I don't like the look of the cookie cutter, honestly.
Dude, it's sick. But I think I'm gonna get the 16-inch AR instead of the 10.5 because it's probably not even gonna show up until months after the election. And what I'm gonna do is once I make enough money and I'm financially stable, I'll probably get the Stinger I think it's a Hawk, Stinger Hawk, or something else. I can't remember the other name, but it's the one that has that like V shape at the end, so it's like open, so it's like a mouth. It's pretty cool. I'm planning on getting one of those, and then getting the cookie cutter muzzle device from Strike Industries, so it looks like a well, I don't know what to compare it to, but it looks pretty sick.
Also, just I recently, if you're trying to buy ammo at this point right now, currently,
Good luck.
good luck buying it online. I would search your local FFLs, because I was super scared I wasn't gonna find any 5.56. Academy was wiped.
I feel
out
like
of-
FFL.
Did you buy 5.56 or did you buy 223?
223. Sorry, what were you saying, Caleb?
Well,
Nothing. It wasn't important.
we went to American Shooter. Shout out American Shooter and Hayes. Go buy their shit. They got some nice
It's
guns.
the name of a gun store.
Yeah, give us a shout out too. Sponsor us. But
No,
shit, what was I
he's
gonna
trying
say?
to
No,
say
It's kind of a
not
sketchy
Well,
name, but
the ammo thing. We found a 50 round box of 5.56 that was $75,
70, yeah.
and we were like, "Holy shit!"
That's
Dude,
expensive, right?
I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
50,
'cause you got
50
stuff
rounds for
around.
$75.
Yeah, I was getting mixed around. Sorry.
Pre-Rona.
We found a better. We found a You can buy 50 rounds for like
Pre-Rona, I bought
20
200 rounds
bucks.
for like
20
$60.
bucks. Yeah.
Golly,
We-
that makes
we
me
found
mad.
a
I bought
better-
mine for.
We found a better deal on 50 BMG than we did with.
They
those
did
freaking-
have a box of 50 BMG.
Yeah, dude. It was wicked. I was like, what the hell is this? Freaking 10-round box of 50 BMG,
That's
$80
$8 a round.
Yeah, dude. It's
That's so
expensive.
expensive.
Dude, they're pretty legit though.
Yeah, but for
I just wish I had more
me-
money to buy gun shit.
Yeah, I see. My problem was, when I turned 18, I didn't get a gun, obviously. But when I turned 21, then I was torn between a pistol and an AR, and I ended up going AR first. And
What- You bought a pistol like 3 days later.
it was like a couple weeks later because
That-
it was my 21st birthday.
That
and I had
was
Oh, sorry.
treat yourself.
that was such a fun day. I was at work, and then Caleb and I were living together, and we're still living together now. And he snapped me, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna buy an AR." And I was like, "Really?"
It was just out of nowhere.
And then
yeah.
it went quiet for a while, and like 30 minutes later, and he's like, "Sent it," and just fucking bought it. It was so dope.
Yeah, but I feel like I wish I would have waited till I had a little bit more money to buy a nicer one. Because like I
Nah,
just
you're
went
good.
with the legit cheapest one I could find on the internet. It was like $330 or something like that plus tax.
Yeah. I mean, I have the
It wasn't
same.
the
I have the
best. I
same
mean,
one.
It's a tool. It does what I need it to. I've upgraded.
I was gonna
it a
say
bit.
I have the same one that you do, and that's never failed me. I mean, as long as you take
It's
care
a
of your
solid,
guns.
solid tool.
Oh yeah, for sure. The only thing that I would change on them is the upper and lower, because they're
Well, it all-
polymer,
It all
which
depends
makes
on
it
what you want. If
incredibly
you
light.
want- yeah, if you want it light, polymer's the way to go. I think I'm fine with the upper I have. I would rather get like a steel lower.
I'd rather have a steel one too, but mine is heavy as shit, even with the polymer, because I have
I
so
mean,
many
a steel
attachments on
lower
it,
would-
and my
is
ammo is like twice the size of, or
Yeah.
like twice the weight of your guys'. So if I put a 30 round mag on there, it adds like another 2 pounds.
how's your ammo more?
'Cause he has
more
300
weighty?
black.
Because your guys' is 223,
yeah.
your grain is 56.
Does, like,
Mine's 125, and my
does, like-
bullet is like 4 times the size.
And 4
The
times
casing's still the same.
price.
300. That is true. Yeah, 15 rounds for $20. That's a ripoff. Makes
That's
300 blackout
pre-Rona,
cheaper.
too.
That's
That
my
is pre-Rona.
yeah. Well, that's pre-Rona. I found more at American Shooter. I think it was $25 to $30 for 15 round.
The nice thing is though, you will be able to find 300 blackout right now, because
Oh yeah,
it's
but it's
not
just gonna be
was
access all
some
around.
it's just gonna be expensive as hell though.
Mhm.
I was lucky because my
That's
dad and
all
I
ammo is
bought,
now.
or we spent a lot of money on 9, so we were able to get. I think we got like over. We have over 1,000 rounds right now, easy, which doesn't seem like a lot, but right now, that's more
That's
than
what
you need.
CNN would call a stockpile, but CNN would also
Yeah,
call
but they're also
100
fucking
rounds a
idiots. So
stockpile. Yeah.
no, they're like, if you have a gun, it's a stockpile. Like, yeah, okay.
If you have a Nerf
One of
dart
my
in your house,
one of my favorite things about this Rona thing is how people realize how important the Second Amendment is. Because they're like,
well,
oh,
it's
we
not
don't
that.
need a
The world
we
was
no,
gonna
but they're like,
freaking collapse, and so they were like,
yeah,
"Oh,
and
we
it's
need a
all the
gun
people that were
for."
like, no, it's all the dumb people that were like, oh, we don't want guns because they kill people, and all of a sudden they have to fend for themselves, and they're like, well, shit, we can't do that hand to hand combat because we're not trained in that, and then they're like, well,
And
we need
they
to go buy a
wanna-
gun,
Yeah.
and then they show up at the gun stores. And they have to go through the process of actually buying a firearm, and they're like, holy crap, this is actually more difficult than we thought. Like, you just
Yeah.
can't walk in, buy a gun like it's a goddamn candy
Can't
bar.
be a,
You have to
can't be
go
like
in,
a
get
3-time
checked.
felon and
Yeah, no shit. They
Or
go
they
in
go
and they're
in
like, we have to hold you for a week or 2 weeks, depending on the size of the city and the amount of demand and whatever, or and how many people are going in. And they're like, we have to wait 2 weeks to buy a gun. And they're like, yeah, this is how this works. If you're on a waiting list to get registered,
Not most.
I'm saying like,
states.
no,
like in California, there's
no,
you have
yeah,
to wait.
in the bigger
There's
cities,
wait
you can
lists.
be on a wait
It's like
list
10
for a
days.
long time.
Yeah.
But like when my mom bought a pistol, she went in. When my mom went in and bought a pistol, she walked in and for her self defense because she wanted to get better at that or to just feel protected, I think. And when we walked out, I like helped her find one, and she was all freaking out about how easily that she bought that gun. And she's like, it's how is this like so easy for people just to get guns? And I was like, you do realize that you've never done anything
You have like the cleanest
to make them suspect you to be a criminal or a threat. You do realize that, right? She's like, oh, well, I thought that like they would make it more like intense. I'm like, no, they get your information, they do a background check. If you're clean and you have no prior incidents, you're fine.
Yeah.
And like where we live, it's in a small enough neighborhood, or well, not neighborhood, like we live in like, well, we bought it in Hutch in this, I can't remember the name of the place. It's actually really cool. It's outside of Hutch to the south. It's Heartlands, I think.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Heartlands. And we bought it there. We were in and out 10 minutes. And my mom was like, how is it so easy for people to buy guns? I'm like, Mom, have you done anything illegal in your life and been caught? She's like, no.
And been
like,
caught. Yeah.
well,
like
yeah,
your mom hasn't done anything illegal in her life,
yeah,
dude. She's a
I
saint.
know. My mom's a saint. And she was
Freaking
like,
getting
well,
canonized.
Yeah, she's like, well, what if it's this easy for everyone else to buy guns? And I'm like, it's not, unless you're buying guns from the only thing is private sellers.
It is that easy for everybody else unless you have a record. If you have a record, it's not that easy.
I remember one of my best.
I've never been pulled over by a police officer except for one time, and I was pulled over in a very small town by a little diddly-do sheriff who, just because I had my left brake light out, and I knew it, and I talked with him, and I was like, and he's like, yeah, just get your brake light fixed. That's the only time I've ever been pulled over in my life, and I still can't get a lower receiver for an AR-15 because I don't have the proper address on my license, which I think is good. I think that's a good thing that we have these checks.
That's perfect. That's how it's supposed to be. You shouldn't be able to go somewhere and buy a firearm like you're buying a freaking damn can of pop at a convenience store. Yeah. You should go through the process just like every other legal citizen that has to buy a gun that doesn't have evil intentions. But
well, the only difference is like the only thing is I do wish they had is I wish they'd let private people use the I know it could be mishandled, but I wish they could submit requests to like the background check, the FBI system, whatever it is. Because if I was selling you a gun, I don't check. Like, it's legal for me to sell you a gun without checking if you have prior criminal record or anything like that. It's not smart of me, but uh that's why I think it would be great if the FBI allowed people to send in requests for um this. I know it could be misused because people could look up people's criminal histories, stuff like that. But I think that would make it private deals a lot safer.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Like, people are always like the gun show loophole. No, you still have to fill out a background check in there too.
Well, how do you feel? This is how I see this. When people are like, one thing that really pisses me off about the left is that they don't want guns to be accessible to people and they'll take away specific firearms. Okay, if you don't want people to have firearms, you shouldn't walk around with an armed detail. I don't think that that's fair for everyone else to go about their lives not having that protection, and then they walk around with their goddamn security guards that are carrying God knows what, and they're like, we don't need guns, and then they're protected by a fucking militia. That makes no sense to me at all.
I think it's fair as long as it's an idea. If they're passing laws, yeah, their security detail should not be above the law. If their
no.
security detail can't have, if you say citizens in Washington D.C. can't have a pistol, then your security detail shouldn't have a pistol or an AR.
No, but they're not going to do that, and you know that too.
Well, that's
they're not going to follow that because they're
you
bitches.
didn't ask me if I thought they were going to. I know they're not going to. Every politician with DC's a hypocrite.
Oh,
but
shit.
But and I know they're not going to. But I'd rather, like, if they're gonna pass laws, I think they should follow them.
Well, here's the thing: if Biden wins the election,
that's gonna be fun.
We're already having problems with ammo because the primers are way behind. You can get every other component of reloads other than the primer, and I've heard that from multiple people. All right, go on before I continue.
So I read an article about that was that talked about supply and demand, because I was looking online for lowers and I couldn't find any. Seemed like every place was out of stock. So I was trying to find out, when does the gun community think that supply will catch up to demand? What they don't want is, in 2016, before the election, a lot of people thought Hillary was going to win. So there was a big buying, like it's happening now, kind of. And so everybody bought up a gun, bought up ammo, bought up tons of it. And then the demand was up here, supply started catching up, and as soon as it started catching up, Trump got elected. Nobody was scared anymore about their firearms getting taken away, and we had a Republican Congress and everything. So demand went down here all the way, and supply was up here. They had tons of stock, couldn't get rid of it, and so they were stuck with this. They had to lower prices and stuff like that, lose money on this stock that they had built up. And so they don't want to do that again and lose all the money. So I think if Biden wins, they will go into full 100% production mode, because it will take a second for them to sign like laws and everything.
Well, isn't it under when Obama was president, he couldn't get rid of like gun manufacturers, so he went after ammo. And you can't have ammunition without the primer. And I was listening to, like, my uncle is he's an FFL dealer, and I don't know if you have to be like certified to sell reloads or something like that. You know more about that, Cooper, because don't you have to have like a certificate to sell reloads? Or can you just do it? Oh, you don't? Anyways, so he bought all the equipment, all the components, everything, but you can't buy primers because they're in such low demand and they're not in production. Yeah.
Do you mean there's such high demand?
Yeah, my bad. And there's no production of them, and people just can't get their hands on them. So I think what's going to happen is if Biden wins, since like Obama tried to take away guns but couldn't do that, he's going to go after primer and push it back even farther, making ammo go up even more.
See, I think you think the left is a lot smarter than they are. I don't think they understand what a primer is, to be honest with you. That's the reason they all want to ban guns, because they've never used one. They don't understand, hey, it's just a
Well,
tool that can be
let me
used by
let
bad
me
guys, same as good guys.
let me tell you a story about that real quick. I probably
Well,
told you.
I'm just saying, I don't think, and also, you're not going to get a big campaign started over, we need to ban primers. We need
Well,
to ban primers. You're not
I
going to get that.
guarantee.
I'm saying what they don't want to ban ammunition. They want to ban AR-15s because that's the scary gun. You can't make a bullet look any scarier unless you paint it black and give it a pistol grip, I guess.
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
But here,
It's not a popular message.
let me give you an example of how people think guns work. One of my favorite things is off of American Dad when Stan is like, he throws the gun on the table and he's like, "All right, gun, go ahead, shoot someone," and nothing happens because the gun only operates whenever someone is behind it and pulls the trigger with the intention of
Or
hurting
in front of it.
someone else. Yes, there are accidents, but it's negligence of the shooter. All right, so my story is, I think I've told you guys this before. My aunt that is, I don't know what, I mean, I guess she's left, but I'm not really for sure. Anyways, she grew up in the city, terrified of guns. And they're mid-conversation with my dad, and they're talking about guns and how much she hates them because she's scared of them. So I go to my room, I get my Glock, I come back, load one in the chamber, throw it on the table, literally make it just as obvious as possible that I'm just literally launching this thing. Drop it on the table. She almost falls out of her chair. My dad loses his shit because he's laughing so hard. And I'm like, nothing happened. And I literally threw it on the table while it was loaded. And I'm like, nothing's going to happen because they're made to not go off unless someone is literally pulling the trigger. And I'm like, yes, guns are scary if you're not raised around them, or if like all you know is like guns being bad. But I think that if people actually took the time to learn how they operate and do all that, the world would be a different place. But since they have such strong opinions, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And they'd have the luxury of not having to use one. Like in third world countries, you don't have that luxury. If you have a gun, you have to know how to use it to protect yourself, or, to hunt for food for your family. But you don't need that in America, where you can just go down to the grocery store and we have a really good police force. But now they wanted to fund the police, so we'll see. It's like a unstoppable object meets a immovable rock,
Force.
right?
I want them
Yeah,
to
force.
disable or
Disable.
crap. I just lost my train of thought. I want
You
them
wanted to disable your train of thought?
no. I just had a stroke. I want them to, the places that are having major problems, I want them to defund the police and their city will burn to the ground. And then
See,
they'll realize that there has to be some form of order. And then what also I think is hilarious is they're like, fuck 12, fuck the cops. And as soon as shit turns south for them, they're like, yo, dude, call the cops. And then I think the police should be like, fuck you. You didn't want us there, bitch. Good luck dealing with it yourself.
I don't think the police should do that. I also don't think they
be the
should
bigger
defund the
people
police.
and actually do their job and go help them. But
No, they already are, yeah. But I also I don't think they should defund the police, because even in very far left cities like Chicago and stuff like that, there are still good people.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that everyone's bad.
And so if you defund the police, it's not the bad people that are going to get shot. It's the good people.
So how does the mayor of Chicago blame Trump for all the murders, even though she?
Like, you could blame the asteroid impact that killed all the dinosaurs 65 million years ago on Trump if you were a Democrat. You could do it, and people would support you.
That's what I don't get. If people see a goddamn trend, every single city that has gun regulations are the highest fucking crimes.
It's
Really.
blind. It's blind.
Like, holy shit! Like, if you go if you look at the like top few cities, like the biggest cities, and if they have gun regulation and gun control, they have the highest gun crime because no one's there to fucking defend themselves. Like, what are you going to do if someone steps up on you with a gun? We're not freaking Call of Duty. You can't press RB and throw a goddamn knife. Like, Jesus Christ, people, wake up.
Like, you need to stop cursing a little bit there.
No, it pisses
Fine.
me off because people are so stupid. Like, when people are
Like,
like, oh, we need to get rid of
there's so
guns.
many.
How, tell me.
There's
If it's, okay, I'm sorry. If there's fans out there that don't agree with this, that's fine. We all have our own opinions. But if you have questions, I'm asking you guys, if anyone's out there, if you don't believe in guns, someone breaks into your house, how the hell do you defend yourself?
a baseball bat.
wanna
I
know?
know
Yeah,
jujitsu,
Okay, if
man.
someone knowing a martial art is fine, and knowing how to use a bat is fine, but that's not going to do shit with someone who has a goddamn firearm or a shotgun that's going to wipe your fucking shit off your body. That makes no sense
Dude,
at all.
I saw it in Captain America. It has to happen. Come on.
No, just people. I
I'm
want.
playing
No,
devil's advocate.
I know.
I don't
I
actually
know.
believe this
No,
crap.
I know. But people, I like. I've been around guns my whole life. They're not scary. Get to know how to use them, and your life will change. If you buy a gun, you don't go on like a power trip and feel like you're God. A lot of people have that like idea, I guess, where if you buy a firearm, you think that you're invincible. It just doesn't make sense. So I want to know if there's people out there listening. If you don't want guns and you think that they're dumb for home defense, I want you to explain to me how you're going to protect you and your family if someone breaks into your house. And I just want to know what you're going to do for self-defense, I guess.
Condoms.
That's my rant.
My only argument is
Yeah, you come out of your room wearing one of those. I guarantee you they'll run out of your house. That's the number one. They're not just used for
let
protection.
Caleb
It's
talk.
multiple forms of protection.
As long as you're a responsible gun owner and know how to safely handle a firearm, there's going to be no problems.
Yes. And everyone should follow safe procedures about how to store
you have to
them, blah,
do
blah, blah.
is
Get a safe, keep them
get
away from your
some-
kids. I know each state has.
Get some knowledge
Sorry, go on, my bad.
and just know what you're doing, and then it'll be fine.
Yes, and also take courses
Yes.
too. In Kansas, we're
Everyone
blessed
should
with.
take courses. 100%.
Yes, even I was about to get there. Like in Kansas, we're allowed to conceal carry without a license. But one of these days, I will go. Well, yeah, one of these days, I will go take a course, just so you know, because it's people talk a lot of. They talk themselves up, but then when it actually comes down to it, are you going to be able to pull the trigger in a situation to save lives if someone's performing an act of hate or terror or something like that?
Hitting steel
So, yes,
or hitting paper is way different than pulling the trigger on an actual person.
Oh yeah. So you need to take classes and get trained and become familiar with your firearm. Practice, go shoot. I know ammo is in
dry fire.
Yeah, practice dry firing, practice drawing, practice unorthodox ways to pull your weapon. I know that's scary to like think about if you're a right-handed shooter and you get capped in the right arm. You have to practice drawing from your left, practice weird angles. It's just the world's a different place now, so you have to train differently and train how things might actually go down.
All education.
Yep. It's just like everything else. If you want to get good at a sport, yes, lots of common sense. It's like any other sport you want to get good at. You want to get good at soccer, you go out and practice. You want to get good at football, you run routes, you do speed ladder. If you want to get good at basketball, you practice dribbling, shooting, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with firearms. If you want to get better, more knowledge, take the time to learn, go out and shoot, dry fire, practice drawing, practice safe concealment, practice safe, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're at home.
Sex.
That too. Make sure you're always strapped whenever you get into that situation. You never know. I guess every state has different laws. Just make sure you keep up with regulations and important. How to store firearms and stuff like that.
Know your state's laws, or even if you have local laws, always keep up with that. And
yep.
Just know what the hell's going on and what you're doing.
All right. I think that concludes our talk about AR-15s. I will now do a quick Cooperstown roundup of sports. I'm currently logging into ESPN just so I can give you all accurate statistics. Currently, the Lakers are crushing the Heat in the first game of the NBA Finals, fourth quarter. 20 points up, 95-75 Lakers. It's not looking good for the Heat, but 10 minutes is a lot of time. The MLB has started their postseason. I'm sorry, I get kind of confused on all the different terms for postseasons and everything. But the wild card series have started, which is the each team, since there's 16 teams this postseason, it's going to be a lot different. They have an extra round. Usually a wild card is just a one-on-one-off game, but these series are best of 3. Currently, the only team that has been kicked out of the postseason is the Twins, who have the longest losing streak in postseason history. They have lost 18 postseason 18 postseason games in a row since like the early 2000s. So they've never won a postseason game since that. Not a single one. They played last year. They played the wild card. This year, I already talked about basketball, Blake. I already did. And
Sorry, guys, I had to get up to you.
no, you're good. And so the Twins, I feel bad for Twins fans, especially since they've been so good. Yelich just didn't really do anything for him this year. It kind of sucks. But we have New York and Cleveland are playing right now. Let me see what the scores are. New York and Cleveland, I think it was 8-6 in the top of the 9th. Yeah, 8-6 Yankees at the end of the 6th inning currently. The Brewers and Dodgers, they're playing a Pacific Coast game on ESPN2. It's bottom of the 3rd. Dodgers are up 3-0. Brew Crew's not having a good time. The Braves and the Reds game today broke records because it was the first game, postseason game in MLB history to ever go more than 11 innings without a single run. It was 0-0 all the way up until the bottom of the 13th when Freddie Freeman hit an RBI single to score the final game, the final run, a walk-off. Also, Freddie Freeman, just so you guys know, should win MVP, National League MVP, because he is the best player, has been the best player in the National League for quite a while. And I think this year he deserves to win it. So the Braves are up 1-0 on the Reds. They'll play again tomorrow. The Astros beat the Twins today, which is what kicked them out. The Astros, sadly, are continuing on in the postseason. I know everybody likes to call them the Trastros. Hopefully the next team can handle them correctly. The Marlins beat the Cubs. So therefore, I don't know. The Marlins have been to the postseason twice since their inception in the 90s. Every time they've been to the postseason, they have won the World Series. So they have a 100% rate. The Miami Marlins.
The Marlins?
They've never been to a postseason where they didn't win the World Series. This is their 3rd postseason and possibly their 3rd World Series. They barely squeezed in, but they beat the Cubs, who everybody thought the Cubs were going to be pretty good this year. I mean, maybe it was just a bad day, but they beat them 5-1. They'll play again tomorrow, I believe. The Athletics tied the White Sox. The White Sox are a good team this year. They won the game last night with Lucas Giolito going perfect through 6 innings. But the Athletics brought it back to them tonight. I think the pitching was kind of off for the White Sox from the beginning. So they'll play the tiebreaker tomorrow, and whoever wins that will go on to the divisional series. The Blue Jays and the Rays. Rays just crushed the Blue Jays 8-2. Tampa Bay wins the series. The Blue Jays are no longer in the postseason, which I didn't really think they played good enough in the beginning to keep them in the postseason. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the Padres 7-4 today, and so they lead the series 1-0. That's an interesting one because the Padres have been hot all season. Hottest team in baseball, I would say. Chris Paddock had a bad night. He ends with a 23.14 ERA for his postseason. That is not good. I mean, I think he gave up 4 runs. That's just terrible. Especially in a postseason game when you need a clutch pitching staff. The NFL, big story there is, of course, if you've ever heard the NFL, you know that the big story is Atlanta Falcons choking every game. They choked 28-3 in the third quarter in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and ever since then, they've just been gagging on the same old fishbone.
Trash.
They're trash. Sadly, because they do share a city with the Atlanta Braves, but so the Falcons second week played the Cowboys. They were up by 16 points. 16 points in the fourth quarter, I believe. My browser is kind of getting screwy right now. But
Oh, you got a virus?
yeah, I think so.
Nice.
So yeah, the Cowboys, they scored 20 points in the first quarter, the Falcons did. Then 9 points in the second quarter. So it's 29-10 going into halftime. They had a 19-point lead, and they lost
Caleb
to
and I
the Cowboys. Cowboys are okay.
Caleb and I watched that we were at some Mexican restaurant in Lawrence, and we watched that, and I was like, dang, dude, the Falcons are killing it. And then we go back, and then they lost, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, what a great comeback win by the Cowboys, but I think it was more the Falcons choking.
They won another game this past week too.
They came back. They almost beat the Seahawks. They almost came back. And beat the Seahawks,
yeah, that's right.
Which is interesting because the Seahawks are going to be a good team this year.
Yeah, they were up by like 20 points.
And then
maybe
next
12.
week 3, Atlanta gets to play the Bears. The Bears from Chicago.
The Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears.
Are the Bears good this year?
They're 3-0 currently because Atlanta
they are?
Couldn't freaking swallow meat. You know what I'm saying?
Dick.
They had a choke on it. But that wasn't meant to be sexual. I realize how sexual it sounds.
No, Cooper is just out there.
So the Falcons were beating them 26-10. The Bears, they were beating the Chicago Bears 26-10. Going into the fourth quarter, half of the fourth quarter elapsed, and they were still beating them 26-10. And then the Falcons did one of the best choke jobs I've ever seen. I've watched the highlights from that. It is like
pretty good choke jobs.
You want to give your PC the Heimlich when you watch this video because it's choking so bad. Like if you thought the Patriots game was bad, the Super Bowl, you haven't seen nothing yet. They're trying to up themselves basically. But on the bright side of that game, we did get to see Big Dick Nick Foles coming in for the Bears. He is now the starting quarterback ahead of Mitchell Trubisky. And I think every Bears fan is breathing a sigh of relief because they no longer have to live under Mitchell Trubisky. I don't know. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky's I think he's an okay quarterback, but he got picked ahead of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. And you can't just be an okay quarterback and get picked ahead of those kind of guys. So,
nope. Yeah.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
And he's having
it's not particularly close. And he's got a kid. He's got 2 kids, actually. Lamar Jackson and his baby.
Oh. Hey, don't talk shit on Lamar.
On the way.
Don't talk shit on my boy Lamar.
No, Lamar's a great quarterback. Probably top 5 in the NFL currently.
Oh, for
but
sure.
He played like crap Monday night.
I
will say that.
I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch it, but I saw
Casey's
stats, and I was like,
defense is
damn,
good.
dude.
Casey's defense is good, but Ravens just could not get anything going.
I think you forgot a child, Cooper, because I call Patrick daddy, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Patty's
I think
your
every
guy?
single white girl in Kansas.
Oh
I don't
my
know about other
gosh.
states.
Every
I
girl
think every single
on
white girl in
Instagram, it was
Kansas
just like,
posted
wow,
about
these people haven't posted stories in a
Patty.
while, and it's just the same picture related to his post.
Yep.
Oh, you were pregnant. Oh, it happens like
That's all
3 million
social
times a
media.
day. Probably not 3
Yeah.
million. 3 million's a little too much, but um in other news, going from to another football league, the college football season has started off with the Kansas State Wildcats beating the Oklahoma
I
Sooners
can't
in
freaking believe.
Norman.
Yeah, I can't believe they
That
freaking
was
beat them
another choke
again.
job that happened 2 years in a row. Kansas State has not been ranked either year when we beat them. That
Yep.
is the record when a AP top 5 team is winning is up by 10 points or more in a game is 1-45. It is now 2-45 because of the hilarious choke job by Oklahoma. I think Kansas State played out of their minds, and I don't think Oklahoma played very well. I guess maybe Missouri State wasn't a good tune-up game for them.
I
But
didn't watch the
Spencer
game. I just
Rattler
listened to
looked
the
like a
video.
freshman. He looked like he is a freshman, but everybody was expecting him to come in and pick up where Jalen Hurts left off. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on a freshman quarterback, but he looked like he was the guy and went against Missouri State.
Hey,
And they faced their actual in-conference games. They're not so sure. Maybe he's no longer a Heisman contender. That's kind of
who
where
who
I'm
won
leaning.
the Heisman last year? I forgot.
Joe Burrow,
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
for
he just
sure.
pooed on
Destroyed the league.
everybody.
The thing is, I think his SEC passing yard record may be broken this year because Mike Leach, the air raid specialist from Washington State, and now coaches Mississippi State, and the player from Mississippi State, recent transfer quarterback. What was it? Was it DJ? What is his name? Just a second. Let me find this. DJ KJ Costello, 36 for 60, a little bit like 55% passing, threw for 623 yards in one game
Wait.
against LSU. Granted, LSU's kind of skinned because almost all their players went to the draft, but they lost 14 people to the draft. But still, you would think. I mean, they only beat them by 10 points. It should have been more of a blowout. The Mississippi State only rushed like 6 times, and their running back is a really good athlete, but they used him more in the pass game because that's all Mike Leach does. Mike Leach is an air raid offense. He's been air raid offense ever since he was at Texas Tech. SEC East is looking to shape up pretty good this year. I think Florida's going to be really good. Georgia, I don't know. They look trash in the first half of Arkansas game. It was 5-7 Arkansas going into halftime, and then they kind of pulled it out, and it was 37-10 at the end of the game.
Did you say
But
5-7?
it was 5-7
So they
because
got a field goal
got
and
a
a safety.
safety and a field goal. Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure I heard
Texas,
you right, and I was like, "What?"
Texas survived a Texas Tech upset. I'm sorry, Caleb. Am I boring you?
No,
I'm sorry. This is
Boy,
No,
this
you're
person's really
okay.
bad.
this week.
you're okay.
We all
Texas
have a
Tech
date with Warzone
choked
after this.
hardcore against Texas. They should have
Yeah.
beat them. They should have pulled off another upset in the Big
Did you
12.
see that?
Made a
Did you
lot more
see-
chaos.
Did you see that meme where it's like picture taken moments before disaster, and the dude was like horns down, and then
Yep.
they ended up
Yeah.
losing.
I
That
hope.
was a
I
high
hope
scoring game, wasn't it? It was like
I-
50.
63
Was
to
it 58 to
56.
63?
63
That's
to
a high
56.
scoring game, dude. That's that's no defense, 100% offense.
A lot of people are really high on Miami after they destroyed Florida State 52-10. But let
Damn.
me tell you, Florida State is not a good team. They haven't been a good team for a while. Let's see who they
When was their
played
last
for.
decent team
They
when they
lost
had
to
Winston?
Georgia Tech 16-3, and then they get pummeled by a Miami. That's like if Alabama beat Vanderbilt 52-10, and they had just last year had like a 6-6 record. I'm not too high on Miami at this point. I think people get too high on schools like Miami and also on schools like UCF. I think UCF's going to be good this year. They're probably going to be best in the MAC or in the American Conference, but they're not going to be. I think they're going to pull another UCF and not be in the playoff again.
Yep,
And I don't think they should deserve to be in either. I don't think Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's also getting a little overhyped. They only beat West Virginia 27-13, and they played pretty trashy in the first quarter. I don't know. It would have been fun if West Virginia had won that. That'd be funny. I don't know. I like funny games. It's kind of my humor. Alabama beat Missouri. That's expected. Although Mac Jones was really good. 18 for 24, 249 yards with 2 tutties. Auburn and Kentucky, the trash bowl. I'm kidding. Auburn might be good this year. Kind of depends. Texas A&M looked like trash against Vandy. 17-12. How do you only beat Vanderbilt by 5 and still be ranked top 10? That's not that. I think they're ranked too high. I think people get way too high on Texas A&M as well, just because they used to be good.
I haven't kept up much with
sports
at all because we don't have cable because we don't want to pay that money. We're broke.
Yeah.
We just have Netflix.
I just pay attention to
I had to
ESPN
drop on
and Twitter.
Netflix, ESPN Plus, all that because I'm too poor. So
don't blame you. And I think that will probably conclude Cooper's Roundup. Go Braves, as always. Go Kansas State Wildcats, and go Notre Dame Fighting Irish, because they should be playing this week coming up in college football. That's the plan. Yeah, Caleb's over here as a Michigan fan. His team's not even playing because they're a bunch of
blue,
pussies.
baby.
They're a bunch of pussies who don't want to. Too scared of the virus. Also,
Go blue.
I don't know who you guys are watching, but Kansas University is a sneaky playoff contender, and I say that with all the sarcasm that is intended whenever anybody says that sentence referring to college football.
I was gonna say, I was like, you smoking crack?
Kansas has never been a threat in football since, I don't know, the 1920s, I believe is the last time they won a game.
Since they were established.
I kind of feel bad. I mean, I almost feel bad for Les Miles, but then I remember he's probably getting millions of dollars. And there's no pressure on him to win, really. I mean, if he wins 3 games this season, they're going to be like, that's a successful season. He's really turning this program around.
That's the
They could beat freaking Texas.
They're going to beat... They're going to beat K-State.
If they beat K-State, I'll blow my brains out.
I'll loan you the pistol.
We're
just joking, people. We're just joking, people. No, you just bought that. You can't taint it that fast.
What am I going to do after I'm dead?
He has his revolver.
Can you sign it to me then? Can I have it?
No, I'm gonna bloody it just for that. I'm gonna put it so that the barrel shoots out and it ruins the rifle as soon as I shoot myself.
Just use it like a 300 blackout in there.
I'll loan.
So it just blows the barrel apart.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that shit happen before. That was wild.
In real life.
Yeah, in real life. I watched it happen 2 feet in front of me.
Not aimed at anyone, but just a 300 blackout. Blowing a 223 barrel apart.
Yeah, shooting down range, blew in half. Dude had the rail in one hand and had the upper, lower, and stock in the other hand. It was freaking crazy, dude. I was looking through the binoculars, heard a bang, nothing went down range. I looked over and dude was holding 2 pieces of an AR.
Always load the correct ammo in your firearm, people.
Always check
the barrel
and the lower and the barrel.
If you look at the barrel of any firearm, it should have the caliber on there.
It doesn't look right seeing that Notre Dame's in the ACC. It doesn't look right.
Half the Irish.
Caleb, Michigan has beaten
Go
the
blue
Irish.
for football, basketball. Also go blue Devils. Blue Devils.
Michigan has beaten the Irish like once in the past 10 years.
Ride or die, baby.
Ride or die, bitch.
Didn't have a favorite college football team since like 2 years ago, but go blue, ride or die.
I really hope. I hope that Notre Dame gets Michigan for its bowl game and then just proceeds to stomp on them. I hope they get trashed. I hope it's as bad as a 52-0 win they just got 2 weeks ago against South Florida. Because Michigan plays as good as South Florida.
I had no interest in college football until I went to a Michigan game against IU, and
I gotta
it was
say,
at the big house, and oh my god,
I gotta say, Michigan's helmets are pretty cool, but the Irish have all gold helmets.
Their stadium's lit.
Yeah,
it's the biggest stadium, and
we have Jesus in our stadium, so
almost holds 100,000 people.
Huh?
I don't even.
The big house holds how much? How many people?
Michigan football.
It's like 90. It's like 93,000, isn't it?
Capacity.
107,601.
Correct.
God damn.
Yeah, baby.
That's a lot of people.
It was packed.
That's a shit ton of people, dude.
It was packed except for the student section. Student section was like empty, but there was still like 100,000.
Dude, that's a lot of freaking people, dude. Oh my god.
And we were 12 rows up, which is not very far. We had a great view. We were right on the end zone.
I gotta say, Michigan's stadium has to kind of be like Nebraska, how they sell out every game even though the team's trash. Caleb,
my teams, they
God
got
the Lakers
like one of the
biggest
biggest stadiums, and then you go to basketball with Duke, and Cameron Indoor is just tiny.
Really? I didn't realize it was
so small.
Is it smaller than Bramlage?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Really?
It's like our high school gym.
What is the Duke gym?
Cameron Indoor Stadium.
That's how the Villanova's
it's literally like the size of our high school.
Yeah, it's tiny compared to other
It has such a great atmosphere during a game though. Holy hell.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's loud as hell. Game,
but I've taken a tour of it and it is small. They wouldn't let us on the court though because they were redoing the floor. Pissed me off.
Oh, damn!
Dream.
All right, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. We had a little bit of a trailing off conversation, but I hope that just makes you feel like you're one of our friends as well, listener.
Listener.
We've been having a great time.
One of our friends calls him listener.
Well, it's supposed to be a generic term.
We have more than one. Hopefully, we love you guys.
Listeners, that's what I should have said. Anyway,
I know we got one.
Plural.
I have some homework. I have some homework that's due at midnight. And
you're not gonna play Warzone with us?
2 chapters worth of homework.
I do have a test to study for. That's tomorrow, but
I have a huge paper due tomorrow, but I don't care.
So, yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. Thank you guys
stop
for
messing with
listening
your tape
in
measure.
with us.
I'm gonna have to edit all that out.
Thanks, guys. Everything we talked about, we all have our own opinions, so don't hate on each other. We're all people.
Listen to our opinions and figure out if you can disagree with it or not. That's the great thing about thinking for yourself. If you can disagree with it and give me a coherent reason, that's great. I'll listen to it. Yeah. Send us
comments on anything.
Leave us a comment. Leave us a direct message on our Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
At SAE_podcast.
Please follow us. And please direct all questions to the Twitter account. That's probably the most checked.
Yeah.
And I know that just a quick side note, I know I was trying to tweet out on the official account about SpaceX's launch. That got delayed. I think that's coming up soon, but it's been delayed so long. It's been 2 weeks since it was supposed to get launched due to the heavy storms they've been having around Florida. So I'll try and get that out to you. No promises on that, but I gave it my shot the first time around, and then they just keep trashing me. So I'll give you my. I'll try to do it. I'll give you effort a little bit at least. But all right, that's gonna be the show tonight. Blake, Caleb, do you guys want to sign off?
I mean, if
Yeah,
you guys
that's
have any
it.
questions, just hit us up. Let us know. What'd you say our email was, Caleb? Or our Twitter, I
don't know
guess.
the email,
Guess if it's
'cause
more
Marco-
popular. Twitter's probably
Our
Twitter's
Twitter
probably the
is
easiest
all
to
caps
use.
SAE_podcast. We do have email, but Marco messed up and had a typo
Just direct
on
all
SAE
questions
official. He forgot
or
an
information
I,
to
so it's
the.
offical.
And
We don't
also, if
we
you
don't
guys
look at
have
the email, so just tweet
if you
at
guys
us.
have any topics you'd like us to cover on the show, we'd be happy to do it. Remember,
'Cause
we're called
we didn't know
something
what the hell
about
to do.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
We're called something about everything, so nothing is off the table. And we
Yep,
might
we're
talk
very-
about it, we might not. We do
we're
review
very-
those and see if we do. But
We are very
send those-
diverse with our conversations, and if you guys want us to talk
Tweet
about
at
something, just let
us.
us know.
or shoot us a direct message. Either way works for us.
Blake,
But-
please stop using your tape measure. It's
Caleb's
very
just
loud.
worried about the editing. But
The listeners cannot take it.
But thank you guys so much
My
for listening
bad.
tonight, and have
The
a
number one
wonderful week.
podcast in
The number one podcast
your
in
heart, in my heart,
and my house. So
Yep. And
not in our house.
yeah,
Yeah.
not in-
Joe Rogan
Yeah.
Experience, number one in our house.
Yeah, JRE, Free Range American, all that. It's all up there.
uh,
Well, we might get there one day,
Call her daddy.
but we need your guys' help.
yeah.
We need
Help
your
us reach the
support.
top. And then
All
fund us.
Thank
It
you guys
is
so much
fun.
for listening. Have a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Later, friends.
Peace out.
Something. About.
Podcast. Something about everything podcast.